Amy Madigan, welcome to Turner Classic Movies.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We are all thrilled to see you. It's such an exciting time for you. You have found yourself smack dab in the middle of the award season for your performance in the movie Weapons, which is one of my favorite movies of last year. So congratulations on everything that's been going on.
Thank you. Yes, Gladys has taken on a life of her own, but it's a tad overwhelming at times, but I'm just so proud of her and I'm proud of the movie, so it's pretty nice.
What I love about the timing of all of this is that exactly 40 years ago, you received your first ever Academy Award nomination for a terrific film that we're going to start off with tonight.
Oh, I'm so glad.
From 1985, it's Twice in a Lifetime, directed by Bud Yorkin,
Yes.
and with a cast that is mind-boggling.
I know,
Gene
truly.
Hackman, Ellen Burstyn, Anne Margaret, Ali Sheedy, Stephen Lang,
Yes.
yourself.
I know it. It's just kind of amazing. Daryl Larson, who was a young actor who was coming up then.
Yep.
So many good people in it.
When you think back to this time in your career, so you had done Places in the Heart, you had done Streets of Fire, you had done some interesting television work. What was it like for you to get this part in this movie with this group of performers?
I remember meeting Bud Yorkin very vividly in his office, and I just kind of came in, and I really liked the script a lot, and I knew that this character, Sonny, was a very powerful presence, and it's about a family breaking up, and so there was a universality to it. But I knew Bud Yorkin through all the work that he's done on his television work, that he was a little more behind the scenes than, let's say, Mr. Lear was, and I knew that he would handle it well. So, you know, to be with Gene and Anne Margaret and Ellen, I was like, wow. And then Dennehy, because I'd seen him do theater stuff. So it was a great gift.
So yeah, as you mentioned, this movie is about a family. Gene Hackman and Ellen Burstyn are married. Gene Hackman starts an affair with a woman that he's met, played by Anne Margaret, and much to the consternation of his adult children, particularly your character. Her name might be Sunny, but she is not.
Right.
And she's the one who takes it the hardest of everyone in the family. How would you describe what you remember as being what was going on with her at the time?
Yeah, just my own work, working on that film, I was so zeroed in on this character in the script. And I thought, I don't want to pull any punches with this because everybody is a different personality in the family. And there's always one that is a tad more explosive and feels they have to be the mouthpiece for all the injustices. So I took that mantle on very willingly. And I had a really good time doing it, but I remember doing it, I was so zeroed in. It was kind of that line of like, is this real or is it not real? Which was fantastic from actor point of view. I thought I would be intimidated when I first met the people. Of course I was. But after we started working, those guys are all pros. And they knew what my point of being was as this family member. So, you know, they were welcoming to it, you know.
There's one scene in particular that stands out to me amongst all the powerful work that you deliver in this, and it's a confrontation scene in this bar where your father, Gene Hackman, hangs out a lot. And it's really where Sonny lets him have it and really tells everyone how she's feeling about this and pleads her case, if you will.
Yes.
What do you remember about that? Because that must have felt like an important scene, centerpiece scene for you and the character.
Oh, absolutely. And prior to that, you see her in different times of the days getting more and more kind of upset and worked up. And she has this idea, I'm just going to go in here and just tell everybody what's going on and tell her to leave. Well, clearly that is not what happens. No. And I came in really strong. And I know that that made a couple of people kind of rear back, you know, and it's like, nobody's in jeopardy here. You know, I'm a physical performer, I'm a live performer, so I just kind of went for it. And Anne Margaret, as it would turn out, really vibed in with me. And then they had to do the coverage on her, which took a couple of days, and she asked me if I would be with her and come back and really do the scene with her when it was her coverage, so the camera was turning on her. And I said, yeah, I'd be glad to. And she was very thankful for it, and that's what you should be able to do.
I love the scene at the strip club. I love all the faces that you make as you're watching all these male strippers dancing all around you. You're just kind of like, what is going on?
Absolutely.
That must have been fun to shoot.
It was. And the guys who were the dancers were so buff, and they were really having a blast. So we had all the extras, and it's like, okay, now you really enjoy this. The extras had no problem whatsoever enjoying this. So the guys really had a good time. So did we.
Yeah. Do you remember what it felt like for you? So you had a Golden Globe nomination first, as did Gene Hackman, by the way.
Yes.
And then the Academy Award nominations came out and you were nominated for this performance. Now that you're going through this whole process again with Weapons, do you remember what it was like to go through it 40 years ago for this movie?
This is so markedly different how award season works now. So when I was coming up and when they had that, it wasn't like all these people were saying, gee, we want to talk to Amy and we would like to do an interview and can we do this and will she come on a podcast? That didn't exist. So I was kind of very excited. I wasn't expecting it at all. I didn't have, a stylist. I had to go to the store and buy a dress. And it just kind of happened in a very natural way. This award season is very overwhelming and there's so much to do. I mean, I'm very proud of my work and happy for it, but it's a lot. And that was not the case 40 years ago.
Right. Oh, it's become a much longer season now.
Yes, it is.
It's like a political campaign now.
I know it. You know that. You're interviewing people all the time.
For sure. I went back and watched the clip. So it was Angelica Houston who won that category that year for Prizzi's Honor. But there you are sitting next to your wonderful husband, Ed Harris, and you look great. You look fantastic, and you're just happy to be there. You're also nominated in the same category as Oprah Winfrey for The Color Purple.
That's right.
I think that was the year that Cher went.
Cher, yes.
And she wasn't nominated that year, but it was the year she came out in that Bob Mackie.
And she looked fab,
crazy
didn't she?
look.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
Did you remember having a good time at least that night?
Yes, I did. Because it was just all so new and so exciting. And you just like anybody else, you go, oh, look, there's that person. I mean, I'm a good fan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was fun,
So is it interesting for you to think back to this period in your life? I mean, it's just so satisfying that it's exactly 40 years ago, and now here you are back again in a similar moment. Do you like the coincidence of that?
Yeah, it's a lot to think of how long your career is, and you hope it's going to extend. When you go up, when you go down, you can really go down. And so it's nice in another way, because I've had a lot of work from then till now, in a variety of ways, had a lot of down periods. So, and that's what a career is. So I get to reflect on kind of the longevity and what that means to me personally and my acting life.
Well, I love your performance in Weapons as Aunt Gladys, and I'm so glad that you've asked us to show Whatever Happened to Baby Jane from 1962, because I've learned this is a film, and particularly a performance by Bette Davis, that really inspired your work as Gladys on Weapons. So before we go there, I'd love to know what your history is with this movie.
Oh, I've seen Miss Bette Davis and this film, I couldn't even tell you how many times. I saw it in '62 when it first came out in the movie theater.
Oh.
And then saw it again and again and things like that. I've always been a fan of hers. And I thought just the brilliance of the story, the brilliance of the black and white. But in Weapons, we created Gladys's look with an entire team of magnificent people. And Zach Kreger and I, we both are Diane Arbus fans. We talked about her and many things. But of course, I referenced to Miss Bette Davis because I'm not comparing myself to her as an actor, but her ability in that film to flip back and forth, to be the one who's outside and very kind, and then she's laser sharp when she needs something. Her makeup was very well defined and very well done in the film. And she really knew how to wear it, and she really knew how to work with that. And you have to, if you're going to put things on, you have to know how to accept that.
That's fascinating. Okay, so when you start talking to Zach Kreger, who wrote and directed Weapons, about Gladys, how did this film come up? Was it something that he had in mind and you had in mind? Was it one of you encouraging the other for this to be an inspiration? How did it all work?
I don't think it was pinpointed like that, because Zach and I had a number of conversations. Per the script says Aunt Gladys wears loud clothes and had this kind of crazy hair, and she likes jewelry. Well, you can interpret that many ways, but the makeup was kind of written about she wears a lot of makeup. Well, how do you do that? So it just kind of came up naturally. We were thinking of, let's say, for lack of a better term, arch villains, that we don't want to pretend that we are that. There's some iconic ones, and Pennywise would be one, and many other people. And so we didn't want to do a traditional with a hat, let's say, or something. So we're just thinking about really good performances and really good people, how they kind of jammed with that. So kind of just happened naturally, like she came up in the conversation.
Wow.
You know? Yeah. And he loves the movie as much as I do.
Great.
Yeah.
For Oscar nerds like myself, this was Bette Davis's 10th and final Oscar nomination.
Yes.
10 nominations
I
over
know
her
it.
career. What about her do you love in general, particularly about this performance?
She has a great confidence in herself, I think, as Miss Bette Davis, but she has a great confidence in her work and what she does. If she walks into the frame, you go like that.
Oh,
you just
sure.
you just watch her. And the whole movie just really spooked me out when I saw it. And it was in black and white, which I loved. Victor Buono, who I've always liked as an actor, and that piano scene where they're rehearsing together, oh my Lord. So those things speak to me. What can I say?
Yeah. If there's anyone who's watching who's never seen this film before, we should tell people it's about these two sisters, one who was a child star, Baby Jane, played by Bette Davis, and then her sister, played by Joan Crawford, who was like a bigger star later in life. And now the two of them are living together under very interesting circumstances, and they have a very fraught relationship, to say the least. You talk about the look of Baby Jane being kind of adjacent to the look of Gladys, your character in Weapons. But what's fascinating, of course, as you mentioned, Baby Jane is black and white, Weapons is in color. So to see your look as Gladys in color is so thrilling. And my understanding is there's a lot of people who watch the whole movie Weapons and they have no idea that it was you.
Isn't that great? That's the supreme compliment. You hope as an actor, you get a chance to really just get inside that part and people forget. You know, when you see a film and you go, oh, that's that person and I know that person. But to be Gladys was completely freeing for me. And when people don't know that it's me, that makes me happy.
How often would you say you're able to, when you're working on a current performance, whether it's television or film, to use a classic character or classic performance as a direct inspiration? Do you try to do that whenever you can, or is it really only in certain special circumstances like Gladys in Weapons?
I'm a real movie buff, and I've seen a lot during different periods of our industry. So I think they're just all inside of you, and you kind of pull something, you know. I didn't base my performance on Baby Jane, but it's something that just seeped into me, and I remember it, and I remember the look and the beauty of it, and her physicality and things like that. I remember all the movies that I've seen, most of them. My memory's really good doing that. So, especially the black and white ones, because I grew up with my brother, and we just watched everything. We just did, and we loved it, you know.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, I know it was important to you not to have Gladys be a typical villain and to have lots of different facets and shadings to her. And what I love about the performance is that she's funny at times, but also quite evil at times. I can imagine that must have been a fascinating dichotomy to play.
Really fun to play. And I really always go back to what has been given to me on the script. And Zach Kreger wrote this, and it's a really tight, wonderful script. So I really pinpointed, when does she really just level down and tell you what it is? And when does she kind of, because she doesn't go out in public that often, and when she does go out in public, you know, you would notice her. You know, she's not hanging out at Starbucks or anything like that. So Zach gave me a really good note, though. He said, think sometimes of Gladys that when she has to go out in public, she's observed people and she watches them. And so she's almost imitating how you're supposed to be when you're in public, how to be pleasant, how to be nice. And underneath that is, I got to get what I want.
Yeah.
So that was a really good note for me.
What do you think it is about characters like Bette Davis in Baby Jane or Gladys in Weapons and all of the ones that came between, these kind of macabre characters, that people seem so fascinated by?
Well, I think for women in particular, and especially in that period of time, let's say, for an earlier film, women have been overlooked and they're full of rage. So, not to put too fine a point on that, but I think it taps into something very primal for women when they'll see someone take charge and they'll see someone kind of snap. Now, obviously, when it's taken to an nth degree and ultra-violence is there, I'm not condoning that, but I think that there is a communication cord that exists that way. And don't you like to see somebody behaving badly?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when it's you doing it and it's Aunt Gladys in this movie, Weapons, because it is something to behold.
Oh.
I encourage everyone to see it on HBO Max, and don't read anything about it before you see it. Just watch it. Amy, what a thrill to be with you at such an exciting time in your life and career. Thank you for being here all night.
Oh yeah, I had a really good time, and I love TCM, and I know all the people out there, they're loyal and they love TCM.
And we love them for that, and we love you for it too. So thanks again.
Thank you.